Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream. Today, Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney. We're going to start the day with a fast main track. Turf courts today listed as good. We had some intermittent rain last night, so we'll start the day with good, but nice breezy conditions. You can see the flags blowing right off the ocean, so we got that crosswind going today. Should dry the turf course out very nicely.
Absolutely, and it's a beautiful day, and looking forward to a good card. As we had mentioned yesterday, there was a, out of abundance of caution, a quarantine placed on 2 barns here at Gulfstream. That quarantine has been lifted after negative test results, so luckily not inhibited by the scratches today. But as always, the team putting the horses first and taking that precautionary step.
And, you know, Pete will be on a little later on with all the scratch and changes. Just heard when I was walking on that Angel Arroyo is off all his mounts, so we'll give you those updated scratches. Jockey changes a little later on. Very few scratches on the board today. So today is Thursday, right? So that means tomorrow is Friday. And you're Beat the Expert again.
Yeah, because you're off. So you have a reason to be off.
Right.
But I'm solo tomorrow, so I am the Beat the Expert, and I will hold it against Ronnie, but it's all good. Ron's picks are still on the website, too, if you want to try and see how his do compare as well. But you can try to pick more winners than me, have a chance to play Beat the Expert tomorrow, and win one of those great polo shirts.
Yeah, so that is tomorrow, and then we should have a really nice day. A little later on, we'll tell you we've got a $250,000 jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six, but that's a little later on. So we've taken care of all that the work we had to do. Now we can start with the handicapping part of the show. Got 2 pick 5s today. Let's see your early ticket.
And I do have currently the 5-2 favorite, which is the #1 exaggerated moment, I think in large part because I read Ortiz as a board as he won 5 yesterday, but I'm 3 deep. I thought this was a pretty wide open affair in the first race. 3 horses in race number 2 as well. There could be a pretty hot pace. Wondering if that does mean that it sets up nicely for High Tide for Mike Maker. In the 3rd race, that's a nice maiden special weight. I've got 3 horses in there. And in 4th race, I'm just going to single to keep things affordable. Emolga, who's dropping in class, finished 2nd, has the speed, just didn't trust anybody else. And 2 deep in race number 5.
Yeah, race number 5 will kick off the Rainbow Six a little later on with Charlotte the Brit and Fast Catalina, 2 horses that, I used the 5, at least that part of it. So the first race this afternoon, as you mentioned, you knew this was going to happen with Irad. He had a fantastic day. He had a chance to win 7, but he only ended up with 5. So that's about, I think that's his 3rd or 4th, 5th.
Yeah,
5-win day or
amazing.
something like that. You know, it's amazing. Acacia said something about the record. He's going to break it in the next couple of weeks, I would think. We got about 20 days left or 18 days left. So you went with the number 8. I'm liking this here. A horse I did not use, and that is Jetty Jane.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a price in here, and this was going to be my long shot. I ended up with my actual long shot later on in the nightcap, but this was going to be my long shot, and I ended up just leaving her on top because I do think that she'll improve. I know that it's a great story, too. Charlotte Gershaw is Ron Spatz's mother, right? She's in her 90s and had to get her owner's license once again. Was that the story? So, of course, rooting for them, but I thought Junior Alvarado aboard, and my notes from her debut was that she needed a race for fitness, could be a little bit more developed and fit second time out, and I'm hoping that she'll improve. And I, again, thought this was a wide open race.
A wide open race, and yeah, Charlotte is my legion of fan. She's one of my only fans, I should say. So I went with Frosted Mistress, who's making her 2nd career start, adding the blinkers today for a bond that is 18% with maidens making their 2nd start, 33% with first-time blinkers. It's Ralph Nix and Tyler Gaffleon. One of my angles that I like is Ralph Nix making horses making their 2nd start. So put this one on top of the ticket. And you mentioned the one exaggerated moment, stepping up, stretching out, trying the main track. Idul Fellini finished 4th. Irad in the saddle today. Lots to like there.
Yeah, there's some questions because she did debut at 80 cents to the dollar with Wesley Ward and obviously was well bet for the 16,000. She really didn't have any turf pedigree at all, but it is typical of Wesley to debut them on the grass, so I didn't put too much stock into that. The biggest thing is that she's out of a Grade 2 winner who was a 5-time dirt sprint winner, and she debuted for 16 sprinting on the turf. I think clearly they wanted her to move on to another barn, and Enrique Amato, who's been doing well here in Gulfstream with a limited number of starters, did pick her up. So she will be, I think, a shorter price, but curious to see what we get from her. Frosted Mistress, I didn't like her at all first time out. So I think that will having that race under her belt now help her to move forward second time.
Let's go to the second race, and let's go on the turf. And if you're just joining us, the turf course is starting today, listed as good. Mile in the 16th. It's a starter allowance, 4-year-olds and up. It started for 35,000 or less. And Kisha, you went with the number 6 High Tide, and you're right, might sit a nice trip in this race.
And that was my thinking. I mean, this one really did take a big step forward, moving to the barn of Mike Maker last time out and cutting back a little bit. Had been running longer distances with Todd Pletcher and running well, but just not being able to get the job done. And he did last time out, but I just thought that there's a situation where he absolutely could just get the right trip. Calibrator, who you like, and I agree, he's very talented, but he is definitely a need the lead type. You've got Casanova Kitten, who's for Wesley Warden, typically is a speed type. Ocean's Map has to go, and even Turn of Events is not slow. So I thought that it could just set up nicely for High Tide.
Yeah, I just went back to Calibrator in this one, stretching out to the mile and the 16th. Used his speed, as you mentioned, with one of two recent turf routes going a mile, so he's going to try the longer distance. Edgar Zayas for Safi Joseph Jr., certainly a swift son of Verrazano, named after the bridge in New York, I guess. And then High Tide, for all the reasons you mentioned. And Turner Events gets some class relief today, and he could be on the engine too. So good point by you, Mike Trombetta, Jose Ortiz at top. That horse is actually the inside speed. He's going to be going in there. So race number 3 this afternoon. We're on the turf again. 5 furlongs, maiden special weight, fillies and mares. And if you read the conditions of this race, 3-year-olds and upwards. So it looks like it's that time of the year where the younger horses will now be able to face older horses. I don't know if there's. There's
just one.
Yeah, there's one
the 6.
3. Yeah, the 6 is the 1 3-year-old in the race. I just wanted to point that out. That this is the time of the year. A lot of people will never bet 3-year-olds against 4-year-olds in May and June. So if it's one of your angles, well, here's the race to try it out in. What I always say is, let them eat cake. So I will pick that horse on top, who's making her local return at 5/8 of a mile after ending her sophomore campaign by hitting the board in one of 2 sprints, going 5.5 up at the Saratoga for Ian Wilkes. Arad in the saddle today for the start of Animal Kingdom. You used it further down. You probably got to watch this horse run up there at Saratoga.
I did, and I remember really liking her back in July when 0 to 60 just wired the field. And then she came back as the favorite, and I thought she was disappointing, but I do think that was a deeper field even than she faced prior to that. Both of those were much tougher than what she finds today, I think. But I do think, the layoff is a little bit of a question. She has been working very well. Mainly, I just really was very intrigued by the 7 Oriole first-time starter. Big pedigree on this one for Arnaud Delacourse. He hasn't sent a lot of horses to run here at Gulfstream. He's been dominating at Tampa. So I said, this one's coming here to run in a maiden at Gulfstream, and he's, one of the leading trainers up at Tampa. This one, a 4-year-old filly debuting now, but out of a multiple stakes winning mare who won 9 times on the turf by Medaglia d'Oro. Curious of what we're going to get from this one.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a good angle. And that one, 5 to 1 on the board, third choice. I believe it's 5 to 1, yes. Yeah. What about number 4, Too Sexy, 1 of 2 in the field for Christophe Clement? Has this sort of quality road, cuts back to 5 today, ended her 3-year-old campaign with that second place finish at the favorite, going 6.5 furlongs.
And this will be the shortest that she's run, and maybe that'll help to kind of give a little bit more potency to her kick there, shortening up, as she was running well and hitting the board in those mile races here at Gulfstream, then those kind of elongated sprints in New York and Kentucky, 7 and then 6.5, also hitting the board. So maybe the shorter distance will just suit better. She's been very good hitting the board. Let's see if she can take that next step forward.
And if you like Christophe Clement, we got another one from his barn with Mumbai, who's had her first touch and showing promise when sprinting on the grass up at Saratoga, and you're getting the one and only Paco Lopez got in this half of the uncoupled entry.
And she actually ran in that same race as Let Them Eat Cake. Again, 0 to 60 wired the field just so comfortably. So Mumbai was kind of stuck on that chase mode. I'd imagine she'll be part of the pace today.
Well, race number 4 this afternoon, 1 mile claim of fillies and mares, 4 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life, $6,250. We did have a scratch in here of the 3, Divine Martha, and your single was Emolga. So we're going to go back and show you this horse's last race. And you're right, you're going to show this horse. I think it's going to be ready to run well. You'll see that when they straighten home for the drive, Emolga fights on but proves eventually no match for a 3 to 5 favorite in there, Topo Grigio. But I just thought, just if you're hearing Pete's call, just fought back bravely. It was just too much for the 3 to 5 shot. So, as you mentioned, it returned from the layoff and ran this well. Certainly looks like a logical horse for you to single.
And Topo Grigio on that big drop in class, 3 to 5, as you mentioned. I just think I didn't really like anybody else in here. And like I said, has never run this low before, has early speed, and I just think will be a very short price and kind of, for me, was a little bit of a free bingo square. The other one that I kind of liked next best was the 4 Nationalist, who is just 1 for 14, dropping back down, has already been exposed and beaten at this level, has been good grabbing a share. I just don't really trust her as far as a win candidate in this spot.
And Dinner at 5 showed a fondness for this distance when she drew early. She actually got the lead. She ended up finishing second. She was 65 to 1 that day for Dave Brady, Miguel Vasquez in the saddle again this afternoon. So we'll see what you get. We're probably not going to get 65 to 1 this
not in
afternoon.
this race.
Not in this particular race. So a good single by you. So with that said, this is race 4. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll have my Rainbow Six ticket.
And they're off. Second in the two path. Round off her inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Ron and Acacia. It is the 5th race. It's a 5-furlong turf claiming event. Fillies advanced 4 and up. Non-winners of 3 in life. $20,000 down to $16,000. Do have a jockey change in here. The 3, Miguel Vasquez, is the rider in there. And also scratch the number 7, Courvoisier in that race. It, as I mentioned, kicks off the Rainbow Six. Got a $48.60 ticket today. Well, $250,000 is the guarantee, that's for sure. But I was rushed to see my ticket because I got a single this afternoon, and it's the international single in prevalence in rate number 8. And I got lots of coverage going through. I started with 3 horses here: Fast Catalina, Charlotte the Brit, Sammy's Town, 3 deep again with New York Style, Never Stopped Dreaming, and Mr. Tito's, who had troubled start last time out. Can't wait, Acacia, to see Prevalence run again.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that he had been a potential for Fountain of Youth and had a couple of minor issues, so it's into the sidelines momentarily, but back in action, and this could potentially be a big stepping stone race for him moving into trying to pick up some of those Kentucky Derby points.
Yeah, so we'll see how he goes. Yeah, he had a little setback there, but he'll be coming back. So do we have a pick 5, a Rainbow pick 5 today? We'll see what happens a little later on. So this 5th race, I did go, as I mentioned, with the 6, Fast Catalina, who's stepping up to the next level. Returned from about an 8-month layoff to defeat 22 lifetime claimers. Solid late kick in that race for Antonio Sano, Edgar Zayas. I just found this race wide open. I mean, I just thought the 6, I don't really like when you step up to the next condition, but I just thought that horse ran well enough.
No, I agree. The last race off of a layoff, too, was very good. Stepping up now to face the next level, second off the layoff as well. I think that she is aided by the scratch of Courvoisier, who would have been part of the pace, I guess, even on the turn back in distance, but that kind of takes that out of the equation. I did go back, though, to the 10 Henny Penny, who I had liked last time, cutting back to the 5 furlong sprint. I think you cross out the mile try, 2 starts back, and just look at the 5 furlong sprint last time out. I would have liked a little bit more punch from her, but I think maybe top to bottom, that was a little bit of a tougher field than what she finds today. I'll give her another shot in here because I think she really does fit.
You know, the number 5, who you have on your ticket in second, who does her best running from that stalk closed position, is hoping for a clean trip today. Encountered some early trouble. She steadied when finishing that closing third against the 16 state-bred optional claimers at the distance. Jorge Delgado, Arad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle. You know this horse is going to take some interest in there. And then you knew I was going to use number 4, Sammy's Town, who's game of defeat. This race here, if you like Prevalence and you have another single somewhere else and you ticket, I suggest you go deep in this race.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think that the more coverage, the better in this spot. Sammy Stown was on the bubble for me. She's been very good in her last couple, both dirt and turf. I just didn't really know what to do with her, to be honest.
Well, the sixth race this afternoon, 7 furlongs claimers, 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, 12-5 down to $10,500. And I'm curious to see how you put your late pick 5 ticket together with, prevalence is second.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, the biggest thing with prevalence is we'll look at that 8th race. That is where the single does come, is that yeah, there could be some other nice horses in here. He really does on paper seem to tower over the field. So if you're going to try to get cute and try to beat him and find a price, I felt it was going to be a simpler scenario to single him and spread in the other races. So that's kind of the tactic that I chose, which I know is what you did as well. I'm 3 deep in the 6th race here to start things off. I did not use Mr. Tito's, so I'm curious to hear what you have to say about him. But I think that that'll be kind of the interesting starting point. I have my long shot, as you saw in that ticket, a little bit later on in the nightcap with Thruster for Tom Albertani.
Well, we'll start with Mr. Tito's, who's stepping up to competition. You're going to go back and show you this horse's start, stumbles at the start, pretty significantly there, number 6 that day. And you're just going to see her just goes down and just breaks last and actually ducks out a little bit. Now we're going to pick it up from turn home. Now they went fast up front. They had some pretty good fractions up front, so she sat a good trip. But you'll see she's wide and she just keeps coming to 3, starts to slow down a little bit. That's Midnight Whiskey. But this horse just kept coming, had that little bit of a troubled start, almost went to its knees and just keeps coming. It almost wins the race. So I just thought of that performance. Now they did go quick, the 3/4 in 109, so it was a nice setup and just came a little bit short of scoring. So that was my thought with number 1, Mr. Tito's, and that's what I drink. So I sort of had an affinity to this horse.
Very good. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I'm not on the Mr. Tito's bandwagon today, but anything can happen. It was 35-1 last time out,
Right.
nearly caused that big upset, and did have pace to run at for sure. But this race is not a walkover for sure. I mean, I landed on the 6, Never Stop Dreaming, who gets the tag cut in half, finished second behind Noble Empire, who had taken those big drops in class for Todd Pletcher last time out, and then the 4, New York Style, I think will be part of the pace, finished right behind Never Stop Dreaming last time out.
Yeah, turning back to 7 furlongs, set the pace, finished third for trainer Happy Alter, Tyler Gaffley on the top, that son of Malibu Moon. So, Mr. Tito's, maybe you save on your B ticket, someone like that. I think that, the stumble was there, but the fast pace, I think, helped the horse as much, if not
Well, hey,
more.
will be a price, and certainly, races like this are a perfect opportunity to try to get a price home.
Well, go to race number 7. It's a mile on the turf. Claim is 4 and up, $50,000 down to $40,000. Did have a scratch in here of the 4, a Galleon Mast, who's a hard-knocking old campaigner. I like that horse on the drop, but not going to run today, so we won't bother with it. I scratched in because I had that one on top. I don't know who you had on top, but the number 5, Morocco.
Yeah, I actually always had Morocco on top, though a lot of respect for Galleon Mass. But Morocco is in great form right now at this level. Beat 2 horses that came back to win last time out, including Noble Indy, who got an 88 Beyer speed figure the next race and does have a lot of backlash. This one has been freshened up since January, which I like because he's had a pretty tough, consistent campaign all along as well. But just obviously in very good form, and I think perhaps the one to beat in here.
When I did the analysis the other day, just had to go back and look at Mike Maker. He's won 33 of 157 turf races here for a 21% turf race. Now, he had a couple run yesterday, so it's not etched in stone. But when I did this the other day, the analysis, I just was curious to see, because he seems like he wins every turf race. Yeah. Well, he did. He has won 33, and then Paco Lopez in the saddle today. Thunder Ride is dropping to the 50 level today with the great equalizer on his side, and at his speed, you got MCL Jaramillo. That horse is going to be in that first slice. Kenny Last, we'll see how it is, but I do believe that Morocco is the one to beat in race number 7.
And I think the most interesting thing is what Jamontier does from the inside. Is he used to be the jump off and go, pace setter on the inside. That could make things interesting for Thunder Ride, though Thunder Ride, I think, is a player just given the class of what he's faced.
Well, race number 8 this afternoon, 1 mile allowance optional claim at 3-year-olds, the optional claiming price of $75,000. You saw that Keisha and I both single prevalence, and rightly so. Let's go back and show you this horse's last race. We're going to pick it up at the top of the stretch. And just, you know, he was batting a little bit, but just I had to show you this. It's just some window dressing. Just, you know, looking for some, you know, some kind of challenge and doesn't really get it. Just a cruise under the wire. Looks like this one could be a pretty nice horse for Brendan Walsh, telegraphically owned, and it's that Godolphin homebred by Medaglia d'Oro.
Yes, absolutely. With the Gosapper mare on the bottom side and had been working very well for debut and does seem to be working well for his second start. Again, I know that potentially the Fountain of Youth had been in the conversation, but this allowance race, a comeback race for him, and a kind of where do we stand move before trying to go even a little bit further in some of those Kentucky Derby preps races, because you can't get in the Kentucky Derby gate if you don't have the points. But looking forward to seeing him run again, as he was ultra impressive. The 5 Tio Magico is who I used in second. There's a little bit more turf pedigree on the bottom side and has been running on the Tapeta up at Woodbine, but just given class, he's stakes placed already. I took him in second.
Yeah, you know, second place finishing at 9 furlong, $250,000 Coronation Futurity. Gail Cox, you know, really has the horse working well on the dirt up at Payson Park, so that might be key. I went with the 2 in second. Cahumbas Candy, right? You don't say the X. Is that how you do it? I remember you taught me that once before at the Mexican horse. Proved he could run well going a mile on the dirt. He drew clear to win his debut in a race moved from turf to dirt. David Fawkes is the trainer, and he's 24% winning consecutive races. Maybe he grabs a share, but they're going to have their running shoes on to be prevalent.
They certainly are. Looking forward to this race quite a bit.
Race number 9 this afternoon, a mile in, 1/16 on the turf starter allowance. Fillies and mares 4 and up started for $25,000 or less. And we both have the number 1 charge account on top of a ticket who's going to the Kelly Breen barn after that claim.
Yes, absolutely. And as we've been mentioning, Kelly Breen off the claim has been definitely a really potent move throughout this championship meet. And this horse does have some backlash as well, and just company that she's kept. First off the claim for the New Connections and a couple of turf races. Though she's not had any wins on the grass, she has to hit the board a couple of times, one time in stakes company over at Gulfstream Park West.
We both used number 3, Little Bit Good in second, who's stepping up, stretching out after rallying defeat. A pretty familiar competition when they competed in a 23 lifetime claimer going a mile for Ronnie Spatz. Arad in the saddle going for 2 in a row. I think that might end up the favorite in there. That's just a guess on my part.
It seems anything. Arad Ortiz ride is the favorite. I thought that one was a player given the recent form. The 8 Lee Rowe should be closing as well. But I thought the 5 Omnia, though there could be some other speed, this one has been very consistent at the right level, and I think suits right here and has kept some good company recently too.
Well, we're going to wrap it up with race number 10, and that is a mile on the turf maiden claiming 3-year-olds. We do have a scratch of the 7, which was my long shot this afternoon, and the number 13. So you started it off. This is your long shot in here, and that's the number 9. You sort of tipped the hand here with this number 9?
That's right, the number 9 thruster on the drop-in class for Tom Albertrani. I had a little bit of interest in him last time when he was over 50-1, just as I'm going to watch with some intrigue kind of thing. He's out of a multiple stakes winning mare, the half-brother to multiple stakes place Fear No Evil, did become a sire. He was a 3-time turf winner by Birdstone, was a little bit intrigued on the pedigree of trying the grass, and did show some early interest. I think the drop-in class and second time on the turf might make him in a better spot today, and he'll be a nice price.
You know, I felt the same way until my long shot was scratched aesthetically. I was looking, you know, even though Future Victory is going to be the one to beat, now there's a chance you could take a shot in this race because you got a nice field.
Future Victory hasn't run well yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's dropping to the 50 level. He make that middle move and he faded. It's special weight. It's Todd. It's Irad Ortiz Jr. You know, he's probably going to get bet in there. Just the connections alone. But this is a good spot for that long shot pick.
I agree. So hopefully we get a price home there in the nightcap.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And that is how we see the 10-race card. But we're not done yet. We have the lightning round.
Lightning round coming up. And a jockey that you just mentioned, who we've talked about quite a bit on this show, does kick off the lightning.
They just
There
delivered
he
this.
is.
They just delivered this to me, so I wanted
Well,
to show.
there he is. 5-win day yesterday for Irad Ortiz, and on Saturday, those bobbleheads will be available. This was his win award, Calworth Park, getting his 5th win of the day.
Yeah, they just dropped it off, and I figured I would show it to you when you were going to talk about Arad here with the 5-win Wednesday. So you're right; it's for a great cause. It's signed by him, and that is on Saturday.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh, Bobble's great.
Yeah,
cool.
Bob,
All right.
and massive, socially distanced.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and see, there's the, I don't know if you could see it on there, but there is the signature back there, but it's hard to see. But
It wasn't on the camera, but that's fine.
yeah.
Well, it's available on Saturday, the bobbleheads for Irad Ortiz. As also coming up on Saturday is a special comeback performance from a filly that we've all come to know and love on the racetrack. Last year's Preakness winner, the 2020 champion 3-year-old filly, Swiss Skydiver. She's going to be running this Saturday at our sister track, Santa Anita, in the Grade 1 Beholder Mile.
Yeah, can't wait to see her start a new campaign this year. So Swiss Skydiver, when last seen was in the Breeders' Cup Distaff Grade 1 behind Monomoy Girl, but certainly winning the Preakness was something special.
Yeah, what a huge performance that was from her, and excited to see her back. She's been training here at Gulfstream Park and will ship out to California. As coming up on March 15th, want to remind everybody the Canter for the Cause is coming up. Support thoroughbred aftercare, great causes, a lot of fun. Have a chance to ride on the track here where the Florida Derby, Pegasus World Cup, great horses have run here in the past. And you can still sign up, so check out the Gulfstream Park website.
Yeah, that is always a great time here, and that is Monday, and you get to ride there and hang out on the track.
Looking up at some of the other races coming up. A couple of horses out of the Pegasus World Cup, Ron, that we've seen, including Tax, will be back this Saturday at Oaklawn.
Yeah, Tax, I thought he would run better than he did in the Pegasus World Cup, but, they entered him again, but he didn't want to run at that particular distance, so he waited for this race on Saturday.
Yeah, this is a mile and a 16th. Had been entered to run a mile here at Gulfstream, so going a little bit longer suits him. Also in that race is Harper's First Ride, who we did see as well in the Pegasus World Cup. But also at Oaklawn, a fan favorite, Whitmore, winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint this year, looks for a record 4th win in the Hot Springs.
Yeah, he was so impressive in his Breeders' Cup Sprint there. I never heard so many people cheer for the old guy. Everybody just has a soft spot in their heart for Whitmore, so we'll see. He certainly knows his way around that track, doesn't he?
Yes, indeed. I think they've got to name some races after him there for sure. But glad to see him back and kick off his 2021 campaign as well. As I want to remind everybody with Friday coming up, due to some scratches and a situation in Laurel with the quarantine there will be no Stronach 5 this week. It's postponed till next week. So do note Friday, March 19th, we have that big carryover waiting for you.
Yeah, almost $155,000.
So take note of that. No Stronach 5 this week. It will be back in action next week and be better than ever. We're looking forward to it. That's it for me and Ron today. We'll send it up.
How many are you going to win today? Excuse me.
What did he say?
5.
5. All right. Well, make sure you get your Irad Ortiz bobbleheads coming up, and we'll send it up to the one and only Pete Aiello for scratches and changes.